Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Masterclass. I'm John Tenaglia. Today we have a fine young soprano singing for us, Katherine Spellmon. Her panelists are Judith Skinner, Melanie Sarakatsannis, Jody Kidwell, George Hogan, and Maestra Lisa Harer deCalvo. Please sit back and listen to the live singing.
In uomini, in soldati, sperare fedeltà. In uomini sperare fedeltà. In soldati sperare fedeltà. Non vi fate sentir per carità, non vi fate sentir per carità. I possibili son tutti quanti, le fronde immobili, laurei costanti, al più degli uomini stabilità, mettete lacrime, fallaci sguardi, voci ingannevoli, vezzi bugiardi, sono le primari, lor qualità, sono le primari, lor qualità, in noi non amano che lor diletto, poi ci dispregiano né non ci affetto, ne valga barbari chieder pietà, ne valga barbari chieder pietà, chieder pietà. Paghiamo femmine tutto al moneta, questa magnifica razza indiscreta, amiam per comoro, per vanità, amiam per comoro, per vanità. Amiam per comoro, per vanità, la 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 la, amiam per comoro, per vanità. Amiam per comoro, per vanità, la 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 la, amiam per comoro, per vanità, amiam per comoro, per vanità, amiam per comoro, per vanità.
Okay, congratulations. Very nice. Okay, let's start with Judith because she's on my right-hand side.
Beautiful. As I said before, I was going to be excited because I've gotten a preview. Beautiful singing. I enjoyed the line and the coloratura. So excellent. I don't have that. So I don't have the coloratura. It's just, it wasn't one of my things. So I'm always impressed when people are able to do that and to do that quite well. And you did that beautifully. I love the playfulness that you got into as the aria progressed. I think you can go a little further because you're teasing the sisters and you're also plotting as well. So I think you could take that a little further and be a little bit more playful with it because you know that there's this underlying plot that's going on and you're trying to turn them against their loves. But outside of that, I thought I absolutely beautifully sung and well done.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Judith. Okay, let's go underneath you to Melanie, please.
Beautiful, beautiful singing. I agree that your agility, it's all very easy, sounds very without effort. As far as the character, I think you could be a little more forceful in your undertones, meaning, you're telling them you can't expect men to be faithful while they're going off to war. So you need to have a little more, because I always feel like Despina has a little bit of evilness, right, to her character. There's a lot of undercurrent in her. And I think that for me, all that was missing was a little bit of that like Judy said, like scheming. You're a schemer. So that's really all I want to say. I could have used a little more double consonants, but we could all put in more double consonants in our Italian, right? But other than that, I really enjoyed it. And again, it has such an effortless feel vocally, which I really appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Melanie. Okay, let's go to Jody, please.
How old are you?
I'm 24.
24? Okay. Sammy, go. All right, sorry, my dog likes to talk when I talk. First off, I think this is a great aria for you because it gives so much, it gives so much joie, joie de vivre of your character. And then I was thinking as Melanie was talking about, there's a little evilness in her. Think about if you were a servant in someone's house and to these girls, that have to have chocolate in the morning and, when they're always wailing about and you're thinking probably, excuse me, I'm the one that works here. And so, put some of that into it. But what I liked about this aria for you is that I remember once I got a comment it was actually from Stephen Lord. And I was in this big competition and I went in and sang this aria that I loved singing because it really grounded me, but it was so depressing. And, and I don't come off as a depressing person, apparently, when I walk in the room. So he said, I was so conflicted by what you sang. So this was perfect for me. I just loved it. And I thought you sounded great. And I'm sorry about my dog.
That's okay. I tell the same thing to my wife, but she doesn't listen either. Go to George, please.
Hey, girl. Listen, you sound great. You look beautiful as always. And I wish you'd have been old enough to be that Despina, that cozy we did down here. That would have been great. You and Tiffany would have had fun. Anyway, Katrina. Listen, there's a couple of things there. Absolutely. I agree with my colleagues. I'd like to see that character. I know how good of an actress you are. Let that come out sooner. Now, a lot of it is just, the first meeting on the, master class, And so I thought you kind of settled in. And kudos to your accompanist too. I don't know who she is.
Yeah, who is that, by the way? I'm sorry, say her name again?
Miss Kathy Mazzio.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. And and then where did you? Well, anyway, I'm impressed you were able to find a great place to sing in. Hey, a couple of things. I would let the we kind of talked about the Italian, back in the day. Let it roll off like a cursive E more. Okay. There's times when it gets a little, choppy. I think the only line that I really noticed, like non vi fate sentire, non vi fate sentire. It just kind of seemed to catch up on you a little bit there. The other thing I would say from a vocal standpoint is, Mozart always throws these things, especially concert arias, where we're jumping and making these huge leaps to high notes. And so I would just really make sure that you get a nice long pharynx before you go up for that first top, or at least get a good sniff in there to open the nasopharynx, to open that palate, and get that up there, but really fabulous. It's great seeing you and hearing you.
Thank you, George. Okay, let's go to our resident maestra, and Lisa, please.
Hello. That was really lovely. I absolutely love Despina because she's just so much fun, because she gets to be the doctor and do the huge magnet thing, and then she's the notary. It's just such a really, really fun character. And I agree. Everybody pretty much said this exact same thing. Just show more of that, especially towards the beginning, because she's basically, rolling her eyes the whole time she's singing this at these chicks that she's talking to. And you obviously have a great personality, so go ahead and use it. I love that you ornamented on that one place on Fedeltà, and I would suggest that you do it on Chiedere Pietà as well. I don't see any reason why not. Actually, the Baron writer score that I have in front of me encourages those to be embellished. So I loved your first one. I would do it on the second one too. So yay, good job. Melanie mentioned that some double consonants were missing, and I agree with that. Unfortunately, I don't know which ones because I was not really looking at the music. I was looking at you. But it's kind of tricky in this because it moves kind of fast, but you just do what you can. A couple other little tiny things in your Italian. It's very, very good in general. Words like barbari are hard for people that are not native Italian singers because we always say barbari instead of barbari. Be careful of little things like that when you have unaccented A vowels in Italian, I think are difficult for that. They end up being kind of or like not ah. Just be careful of that. And one other thing, I think you probably realize this already, but there's a couple words that Mozart actually didn't set very well. Sorry, Wolfgang. But because this is in 6/8 and it's ya da 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 da, he sets the word mentite and fallaci incorrectly. So just make sure that you're aware that it's mentite and fallaci and not mentite fallaci. He just, sorry, but he didn't set them very well. And I agree with George about the vanita, we go for that high note at the end. I just, get under that a little bit more. But overall, wow, this was a really, really fabulous and really lovely performance. Good job.
Great, thank you, Lisa. Okay, a couple of questions, Catherine, if you don't mind. What, as far as opera roles, what have you done so far?
So I just did Despina actually
There you
about
go.
a year ago. We did the show right before Hogan hit.
Okay.
I did my master's. And then before that, did some operetta, Trial by Jury, Angelina. I did cover Susanna in Mr. Hogan's program a few years back. I'd say if I do musical theater, it's usually more the classical, not necessarily.
That's great. Yeah, listen, you fit, I mean, you're the perfect, I mean, if there was a poster child for it, you would be it. Really. You have a beautiful voice. What would you like to sing for us next?
I'd like to sing Devieni non Pagare.
Very good.
Giunse al fine il momento che godrò senza affanno in braccio all'idol mio. Femmine care, uscite dal mio petto, a turbar non venite il mio diletto. Oh, come par che all'amoroso fuoco l'amenità del luogo, la terra e il cielo risponda. Come la notte i furti miei seconda.
Okay, very nice. Okay, let me get us in the gallery view here. Okay. Can we start in reverse order, and we'll go with Lisa, please.
That was beautiful. I love this aria. That was really nice. So everything I have to say is real coachy stuff because that's what I am. You probably maybe know that, but anyway, doesn't matter. I think you did a great job. There's a couple things in the recitative. Make sure that you're making sentences and that you don't necessarily have to breathe on every rest. Take a look at giunse al fine il momento che godrò senza affanno in braccio all'idol mio is one sentence. Now, that's kind of long. So, you know, you could do giunse al fine il momento che godrò senza affanno in braccio all'idol mio. Like you take maybe the breath before the prepositional phrase. That's never a bad idea. And I know people disagree with me on this, but I actually think you need to make sentences in recitative and skip the rests that are there if they're not necessary for the sentence. Doesn't look like anybody disagrees with me in this group, but and there was, and I thought it's at the end too. What's the very last thing? I furti miei secondi, come la notte I furti miei seconda. That could be one sentence too, right? I think it is one sentence. All right. Again, a couple little really small things in your Italian, like you missed the double T on petto, but you did it really incredibly well on diletto. So, you know, just be careful of little things like that. I think that is, make sure that when you're doing a double consonant in Italian, it's really important to, I think you already know this and you're kind of already doing it. Make sure that you really establish the vowel first. So you never want to do that petto thing where you don't really get a vowel. Petto, diletto. That really established the vowel. I got that directly from Italian conductor, so I think he probably knew what he was talking about. Let's see, blah, 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 blah. In the aria, when you say finché non, it sounded like you said splenda in ciel. Is that what you have in your step, what you said?
No, it's splendane.
Okay, it sounded funny, so make sure it sounds like splende in ciel. I figured you knew that. Every once in a while, this is another diction thing. Every once in a while, you have a little too much R on a single R, like fioretti, just one R. Mora is a hard one because you have to roll that first one, right? Mora, and then not the second one. Just watch those little things. The breath support was much better in this one on that high A where you have to pop up to that A at the end. So nice work. On the phrase after that, where you doing an in coronat, and you have to hold that up over what seems like 6 bars, but it's really only 1 bar. that could just use a little more spin to get to the rolled R at the end. And the only other thing is, I don't know about in this piece whether you should ornament on those fermatas or not. I mean, you didn't, and a lot of people don't. And I think you might find a way to do a subtle, beautiful one on the last in coronar, but it has to be in character of the piece. So I think that's why people avoid them in this piece, because you don't want to do some, I mean, I've actually heard people like go up to a high B flat there and kind of take it completely out of the character of the piece, but consider it, maybe you could put one there. Otherwise, I mean, those are really, really picky things. That was a really great performance of the piece. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lisa. Can we go to George, please?
Yes, sir. Hey, listen, some great stuff again. And, I mean, I've always loved your singing, girl. It's just, especially out of that little teeny body, it's awesome. So great voice. Hey, some really, really excellent comments from Lisa regarding your time. The only thing I would say is, and I understand what she means to take those rests out, but you're going to be with some directors and everything that want those in there. And so what you need to do is you really need to link that thought and the momentum of that thought into that next line. So really that you're singing through that rest there, especially the beginning, when you have that just right out of the gate, giunse al fine il momento che godrò senza affanno. And the other thing too is remember what's going on here. Figaro's hiding and you're kind of having some fun with him too, but you really do love him. You're going to catch him, but you really do love him. And so I would just I would make sure that I don't know, I love Italian because of all of the double consonants. And Lisa said another really good thing is make that first vowel longer before those double consonants. And I think that just paints the meaning a little bit more. The other thing I would say in the recitative for me, especially with Mozart, I don't mind some slurpiness with the with other styles of music, but in Mozart, I really like dead center attackas. I don't like from underneath. So really look at that. I think that's going to pay off dividends too for you later when you want to spin. If you're kind of coming in from underneath, it's going to make the spin a little harder later. But I thought really lovely ending for the recitative. The I furti miei was just, I thought, beautiful. The other one at the end, in coronar, I would like to see, I love the portamento there, but I would like it to last a little longer and go a little faster, yeah? So in coronar, whatever your coach tells you, but that's what I would do. And be careful not to go too hard on the Z and rosa, yeah, rosa. The last thing I would say, and of course, you heard this from me all the time, is your posture. Yeah, I just feel like the shoulders, and it may be COVID, but the shoulders are creeping ever so slightly forward. And remember, that power source is through here. And I would just like to see it open up just a little bit more, yeah, so that you have a little bit more stuff, because there was just times when I felt like we decayed a little too much. Does that make sense? That's all I got, girl. You're fabulous. Thanks.
Thank you, George. Okay, can we go to Jody, please?
Hi, Catherine. I agree with everything that Lisa and George said. And then I want to add a few things because I'm a mezzo. I'm really noticing when you go low in your voice. And I think what will really help you, because so many singers, when they get lower in their voice, they kind of, oh, it's a little easier here, except it's not. And so I want you to pick your rib cage up from below. When you go to those low notes, pick them up and stick them up on a shelf. And don't let those ribs fall off that shelf. And that will open up the space. Another little trick I have that I learned from a teacher I studied with, her name was Sheila Harms. She lived in Dallas, Texas, British woman. She would make me do exercises and point the opposite direction of where the notes went. So if I was singing a high note, my eyes went to the floor with my finger. If I was singing a low note and up, and I would do that with music too. So that will help you tremendously in the low. And then lastly, if you haven't done it when you go up in coronar, think of it as in corona, with no R at all in that word, until you're ready to stop the sound. And then suddenly, oh, there's an R. And, and if you think it like that, that's going to help you keep your palate high till the very end of that note. And you'll have more breath. And also keeping your ribs up on that shelf, which, by the way, is something that I got from Eleanor Stieber. She said, mount the breath, mount the breath. I didn't even know what she meant then because I was so young. But now I do. And that's what she meant. Literally pick your rib cage up and stick it on top of your breath and leave it there. So if you do that, what is already really good is going to even be better. Very good. I'm excited for you.
Great. Thank you, Jody. Okay.
You're welcome.
Can we go to Melanie, please?
Beautiful job again, Catherine. Again, another role that you're going to sing. So here are my thoughts. First of all, I agree with everything everyone is saying. Lots of great things. How would you feel about taking the russet slower, though? Because we have to remember, you're the Countess now. You're no longer Susanna. I mean, for this aria. The Countess would never sing that fast, right? She's everything that Mozart wrote for her is very slow and languid. So I'd like to see the russet slower. And I also would like to see you fill during the intro to the aria. Instead of just waiting for your next thing to sing, I need something more. And I'm not saying you have to do this whole big staged thing, but something in your face, maybe just change your direction. Maybe look over where Figaro is hiding, right? You probably know exactly which bush he's in, right? Something to fill. And also I would take the whole tempo of the aria a little bit slower too. It just felt a little frenetic for me personally. I mean, I've sung this myself 100 times too, so of course we all have our own, tastes. And in keeping in that slower tempo, I think it would help you sing through those high A's even more elegantly than you already did if you just gave them a little more time. But other than that, those are just my thoughts and in the direction I would take the aria. But again, such beautiful singing. Keep doing what you're doing, and good luck to you. And thank you for singing for us today.
Thank you so much.
Not sure how great, but okay, I'll take it. Once again, beautiful. My sentiments are everything that everyone else has said. And my thought for you, something for you to think about, is 3 things are happening here. She's disguised as the Countess. They're trying to play a trick, and she's singing this love song to Figaro, who she knows is there. So you have 3 things that you have to try and accomplish. And I know right now you're standing, it's sort of like the park and bark moment. Let me just sing and go. But to help you, if you were singing this in an audition situation, you have to bring all of those components and be able to, and as Melanie was saying, move or do something, because when you stay in one position, then we're questioning, is she just singing the notes to us, or is there some kind of intent behind each phrase that you're doing? And we do know that Susanna is plotting. And when George spoke about your shoulders, I wrote that down too, because you're the Countess singing this. So you have to be regal in your deportment so that the trick can actually play itself out. Outside of that, I think you sing it beautifully. They've all spoken about the little technical things and the diction things, so I'm not going to repeat that. That's why I just went to the story of what you're trying to bring across. And just remember, no, even in an audition situation, you still got to tell that story, even if you're just one person standing there and there really is no Figaro and there's no Countess on the other side disguised as Susanna. You still have to tell that story. So I hope that helps.
Thank you, Judith. Okay. Yeah, George, please.
I would like to ask Melanie a question.
Sure.
Melanie, since you auditioned so much for this role and everything, would you just kind of give that perspective of what it was like to come in and actually, sing for Susanna?
I'll tell you, I have auditioned for this role more times than I care to admit. And oddly enough, I never was given this part professionally. I only sang it when I was at IU, Jacobs School of Music. This is the one part I always wanted to do professionally. I have done Despina professionally several times, but never did Susanna, but did, like I said, at IU. So I found it very frustrating to sing this aria in auditions, but I also found it difficult to sing in auditions because this is a very tough aria, intonation speaking. I mean, it's not an easy sing. I know it's not very high. It is low, and we have that low, what is it, an A flat or whatever. It's, it's a wide range, but I just find it's a tough sing in an audition. And I only brought it out when they were looking for Susanna. My starter aria was usually Pamina. Go figure. But I found it.
So was George's, by the way.
But I found it a hard sing to start off. Like if that was going to be my starter aria that day, because they're looking for Susanna, of course I was going to start with it. And I found it tough because, it comes at the 4th act. So you've done a lot more leading up to this moment, and then you have to really gather your thoughts and be there. So that's all I have to say there. It's a tough sing. We think it's easy, but it's just not. There's so many layers to this character, to this aria. The intonation is tough. You're very exposed. There's not a lot of accompaniment underneath you. But you handled it beautifully, so I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you again, Melanie. Okay, and I agree. Mozart in general, for me, is very exposed. It's such an honest and pure way of singing, and unfortunately, it's never sung that way. And as singers, we make it a lot more complicated than it needs to be. And I always say that masters sing Mozart. I always lent this. Now, this opera was a bad luck opera for me because I got engaged during this opera. So that was I know.
Is that for you or Joan? I mean,
Both, both. So actors today do take the recitative too fast, in my opinion, and so I would actually slow it down. And everybody said it correctly, because you're scheming and planning, because you have to make it seem it's being done at that time. It hasn't been written on the page for 100 years. So you have to make that feel so natural and instantaneous and spontaneous. So that's what happens with, especially in the recitativo, so I kind of, since I do really like it a lot slower. As far as the aria itself, it was beautiful. Again, I would still think, if somebody was saying the longer lines, so even in the legato of the sound, it's just so fluid. It's just like honey dripping, and I would actually take it a bit slower. I agree with Melanie also. When Joni did do this, we had I can't remember, we had several conductors, but the one that I want to say it was Primavera, and he was right under, and it's a steady flow, and so the characterization has to be quick-witted, if you could portray that, physically. That's one of the tricks to Susanna, really, because I think, to be honest with you, she's faster than Figaro mentally. She's so quick. I mean, and she knows how to on the spot and get it done and get out and go and be there. I never did Figaro. I always did the Count. So, but I think it was beautiful. Just for curiosity, what other repertoire do you do?
So I love art song, especially American art song. I also really like French art song too. So
Okay.
just trying to stick with lots of Mozart as much as I can, just to.
Great, yeah, absolutely. You do it beautifully. What are your plans? I mean, I know we're still hopefully in the tail end of COVID. Do you have any plans for the future, or?
So right now, I finished grad school in May, and
Congratulations.
then moved to Missouri with my husband, who's military.
Okay.
And so when we came here, everything obviously was shut down. So I planned to audition and record videos, but that obviously didn't happen. So a local elementary school contacted me and said, we need a music teacher.
Oh, good for you.
And we don't care that you didn't have a music education degree, but you have a master's in vocal performance, so you can teach our kids. And,
There you go. Well, yeah.
so it's been keeping me busy, and it's a totally
Good for you.
different realm. So I kind of felt like a fish out of water at first, but it's been really fun, and I enjoy it right now, but I definitely plan to, hopefully when things start opening up, start.
Yeah, great. I did it myself. I know. I taught. Yes, I taught all the way from. I started in college and worked my way all the way down to elementary school. So yes, I think that it's a noble because Mel, go ahead. You can
Do you sing Handel? Because I think Handel would be perfect in your voice.
So at the end of my grad school, started working on some Handel stuff, but I didn't get to do as much as I would have liked.
You should start to, sing some messiahs. When we get back up and running, you need to start learning all of your, top 20 oratorios, because you could get a lot of oratorio work too.
Yeah,
Bach.
I agree.
Bach.
Yeah. Yes. Handel arias are actually a little bit more impressive in audition than some of the Mozart arias. So I would really seriously have one handy that you can access, and as to steal a line from Michael Riley, to roll out of bed and sing. So other than that, I think that you're for 24. My goodness, it's because I was still in diapers when I was in 24. But yes. Thank you again, and thanks, Catherine. Thank you very much.
Hi, Catherine. Good luck.
Love you, Spell Cakes.
Bye bye.